a mess. I went for a run. I wanted to talk about baby reindeer because it does a great job dealing with SA and how that could look for some people. For some people, you go hypersexual, some people go hyposexual, some people go no sex whatsoever. Some people are confused by the fact that people tend to go hypersexual with their sexuality after a sexual assault, and some people don't understand why. I know for me, when I went through what I went through, I definitely went hypersexual. I had my phases where it would go like none and then hyper, and I'd make some questionable choices. And what I was trying to do, I can't speak for anybody else, overcompensate for the bad sexual experience, the horrifying sexual experience that they had that traumatized them, so they could level out the playing field. And they tried to be hypersexual so that they could gain more happier sexual experiences. But sometimes, well, usually, but that's not the case. You just kind of end up making questionable decisions, and there's this numbness that comes with it. You're trying to also shake off that numbness after your sexual trauma, and you're trying to get back something that somebody stole from you. It used to be at least a somewhat pleasant experience until that person decided to do what they did to you. And now it's not. Now you feel fear, now you feel anger, rage, pain, and what you're trying to get back is some kind of feeling of positivity, some kind of pleasure from it again. As you saw in Baby Reindeer, it's a lot more complicated than that. You can't just have a whole bunch of sexual explorations after a sexual assault and be a-okay again. It takes more than that. It takes mental and emotional care for yourself. Digging through that trauma, digging into yourself, and figuring out what sex really means to you before and after the trauma. Just trying to rebuild from scratch, from level zero again, some kind of relationship with sex that you've never had before. It's a lot more than just sex. Sex is a lot more than just sex. And it's hard figuring that out, but it is rewarding at the end of it. He goes through the same thing. Our gentleman character from Baby Reindeer goes through the same thing. He ends up being hypersexual, going through the motions. He ends up finding a turning point in all of it. But it takes work. It takes him breaking down in front of a crowd of people and telling everybody the absolute truth, his truth. And it's not clean, it's dirty, it's messy, being human is. He ends up doing his best to try to make his amends, trying to advocate for those who have been through what he'd been through, using the skills that he has. If, as a sex coach, somebody were to come to me, not for a diagnosis, not to get medicated, but just to be their cheerleader, which is what a coach is they're a cheerleader. I'm a cheerleader. I'm somebody who's going through sexual trauma and who is struggling with their sexuality, turning to hypersexual activity for some kind of answer. What would I tell them? Hi, doggo. I would tell them that it's not easy dealing with sexual trauma. There is no right answer to it. Hypersexual activity is probably not the best way to go with it, just because you could end up putting yourself in situations where you would end up doing more harm than good. But at least when that happens, at least you know that you put yourself in those situations. You chose to do that. No one else chose to do that for you. So whether you regret them or not, whether they were some kind of part of exploration or some part of you that was trying to make sex pleasurable again, that was in your own power. That was nobody else. And that's something you can take accountability for. As far as your feelings and the trauma that led to you putting yourself in those situations, that was not your fault. And it happened, and it didn't happen for any reason other than somebody who was insecure and sad and in pain themselves decided to take it and put it on somebody else. And it happened to be you. I would also say to please get tested for your own safety and for people's safety around you. It's important. I would also say to take it easy on yourself. Leave a little room for forgiveness. Sometimes you'll make choices in that mindset of survival mode while you're still processing and trying to figure out a way to heal while still trying to operate in everyday life. It's hard, it's not easy. So forgiveness is definitely a must. If you feel like you need to not ask for forgiveness, because you won't always receive it, but to hold yourself accountable. Make amends to those that maybe you feel like you've done wrong to in any way. Baby Reindeer is very trauma-themed show. It's good stuff. Take care of yourself.